KLK 102.5 FM. Good morning to you on your Tuesday. This is Conservative Corner. Kato Wonder is here in the studio with you. And as always, we are joined by members of the Northeast Arkansas Tea Party, Ms. Ira Stevens and Mr. Hard Weinstock. And joining them today is attorney Joey McCutcheon. He is known for FOIA information and lawsuits here in the state of Arkansas. And of course, got to start with a disclaimer. Kaylee Can, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council. We do not endorse, support, or oppose any political candidate, political party, or particular issue. We provide these interviews for informational purposes only. But as always, we encourage you to get involved with the political process, exercise your right to vote, get registered to vote, contact your representatives, whether the local, state, or national level, and make your voice known. So with that, I am going to turn it over to Ms. Stevens.
Hey, this is a great day to do this, and I'm so glad we've got Joey, because of all things FOIA, he's the best. He's who we go to. The Freedom of Information Act, in Arkansas has been around since around 1967, I think. Winthrop Rockefeller is the one that signed that first bill, and it's been considered wonderful. We've had one of the best ones in the country, and I've read that over the years. And this year, we have people trying to nibble parts of it away. They're very important. And so that's why I wanted Joey to come to talk about what's actually going on. He actually filed some bills about this, and we've got one in particular, a Mary Bentley bill that I'm very concerned about, and a lot of people ought to be concerned about. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about that about 15 minutes or so, and then Hardell is going to come on and he's going to talk about another really frightening bill, I think, and that's the digital currency bill. And I think that's going to be another problem for this state. It's the one that Kristi Noem vetoed here not too long ago in her state. So, Joey, what's the problem with 1610? That's Mary Bentley's bill.
Well, I wouldn't call it nibbling. I would say that it's taken a huge bite out of FOIA. It's going to, it's in essence going to do away with half of FOIA. As many of you know, FOIA is divided into open records and open meetings. 1610 would dismantle House Bill 1610. Representative Mary Bentley's bill, who's supposedly a conservative, would dismantle the open meetings provision of FOIA. It would allow, as it currently stands, it would allow, for example, 6 out of 13 justices of the peace to meet secretly on email chains, text messages, or in the back of McDonald's, and discuss our business, deliberate our business, and decide our business in secret meetings. I mean, it's very scary. Then the next 6 can then have their meeting, and the public never sees anything. No notice is given to the media as required. And they come in and just ratify a decision. They've already had their discussions. We never see the discussions. We don't know the reasons why. We don't get to see how the sausages are being made. We just get a conclusion. And to me, that is totally against a democratic society. One of the provisions of FOIA currently states the legislative intent of, as you said, Republican governor, and it's Republicans who are attempting to dismantle FOIA now. It says that in a democratic society, open meetings our meetings must be conducted in an open and public manner. And that's exactly right. There's nothing more true to that. I filed a bill. I didn't file, but with the help of Republican Senator Alan Clark, he filed a bill which I was totally behind and helped with some wording. But basically, it said 2 or more governing body members, that is school board members, city council members, JPs, cannot meet to discuss, deliberate, or decide our public business outside of a public meeting. I mean, we've heard the efficiency argument. If I'm talking too much, you let me know, okay?
Oh, I'll cut in when I want to have some.
Okay. Ms. Bentley has proposed that it's sufficient to allow justices of the peace to have these private conversations where they don't have to have, and this is my words, not hers, where they don't have to have the tough conversations before us. It's efficient. There's nothing more efficient than the way FOIA and Supreme Court decisions operate. I took a case, McCutcheon versus the city of Fort Smith, all the way to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court ruled against me. But what they said in that case was JPs and governing bodies can receive informational packets. They can receive agendas. They can have one-on-one conversations with the county judge, with the superintendent. Even the county judge in that case, the city administrator was able to even give an opinion about his thoughts about recommendations on the bill. So they can have all of these discussions. They can have as many discussions. JPs can have as many discussions, school board members, with their constituents as they want to. They can get information. They can get opinions that their constituents have, but they cannot have discussions with fellow board members, because that's until the public meeting. And they can call as many special meetings as they would like to discuss this whatever the particular issue of the day is. And I'll just say, these are, as you know, these are very, very important issues that can and will be discussed in private.
Well, one of the things I'm just appalled that this is Republicans doing this, because Republicans are supposed to have been for years for transparency. One of the things I think we've forgotten, and this happens over and over, is we are not their servants. We own the government. It's government by the people. They have to do things the way that we want them to, because they're our employees. And when you start looking at this and this terrible lack of transparency, and the fact that you can have these guys get together, decide all of the situations, get to a meeting, and then not have to say a word. They just pass a law or a bill or a resolution or anything like that, and the public doesn't hear what's gone on behind it. That is appalling. And I have had respect for Mary Bentley. I have no idea why this is coming out of her, committee. This is just ridiculous. But I think all of us need to get upset about this, because it's going to affect all of us. These decisions will be made. We'll have no idea where they come from, because there won't be the discussion in front of the public. So everybody out there, and this is going to be made public widely, this video, and also emails and things, people need to get upset about this one, because this is the destruction of a transparency in government that everybody needs.
It will literally, we say we currently have the strongest FOIA law in the country. Miss Bentley's position is 47 other states are doing exactly what I want to do here. Well, that's exactly right. But my mom always said that just because others are doing doesn't make it right. And if we want to keep the strongest FOIA law in the country, if we want to keep transparency, if we want our public officials to talk about our public business in open meetings, then we will contact Mary Bentley and say this is wrong, and it is wrong. It's just not good government.
Well, the fact that it has existed for so long indicates why it's been such a good law, because 1967 was when this bill was first signed. It has worked beautifully. It's been amended several times, like for electronics and things like that, difference in the technology. But the fact that the bill has worked so well indicates it doesn't need so-called improvement by gutting it.
Well, in fact, it hasn't accounted for electronic. It hasn't been amended to account for emails and text messages. And that's something that when you try to rush a bill through, you change 3 little words. She changed 3 little words in our Freedom of Information Act regarding open meetings: by a quorum, which basically says that less than a quorum can meet anytime they want to. But we need a thoughtful bill. I mean, to address some of the things. Actually, the last case I filed took it all the way to the Supreme Court, Wade versus the city of Fort Smith. The Supreme Court, the city of Fort Smith was trying to say, oh, these email chains, these secret email chains, where 3 out of 7 were deciding public business to do away with the Civil Service Commission. Is that what we want? Do we want secret email chains deciding whether to abolish the Civil Service Commission? I don't think so. But in that case, they said that email chains could constitute a meeting. But we need that put in our law by legislators. That hasn't even been considered yet. And there may be other things that we want to put in a well thought out bill. It's just not that bill. This is critical. I mean, that this is defeated by Republicans and send a strong message that we want our public business done in public. But I've worked with Senator Alan Clark and others on 3 other bills this session. Well, 2 others, including that 2 or more cannot have private discussions. The second one was a training bill requiring 1 hour of training for our governing bodies, just 1 hour annually, to discuss open meetings, open records, new legislation, new Supreme Court decisions, maybe a new law like that all cities are required, as we said in 2017 in legislation, a great change, that all cities must, in governing bodies must record their meetings. There's cities out here in Branch, Arkansas. I'll have a consent judgment against them within the week where they just weren't recording meetings. But that bill was voted down by the Republican Senate. We had senators that were walking out. We had senators that voted present. We had senators that voted no. And I mean, can you imagine? I mean, why would we not want our governing bodies to be educated about the Freedom of Information Act and plant that seed? Even though we came way off of where we were, 1 hour is clearly not enough, but we didn't want to put 2 so we could get it through what we thought would be a slam dunk. I mean, but.
And the first thing you do when you talk to some of these people, well, I'm not familiar with that. I'm not familiar. I'm talking about, the council members and board members and things. Well, I'm not familiar with that. Well, I said, it's all printed out for you. We can give it to you. But the fact that I'm just appalled that in a super majority Republican state, we are seeing this attack on transparency in our government. And it's just stunning to me. We've got some local administrators, some local representation that has really disappointed me in how they approach this, because 1 hour of training a year for this, and teachers in the past have had 60 hours of training that you were forced to do. This is not too much to ask.
It's really not. It's disappointing in my Republican Party. It really is. And I think the leadership of the Republican Party needs their voice heard, and they need to, whether it's local officials or on the statewide level, Republicans need to stand up for this, because if we allow secret government, our constitutional republic is going down in a heartbeat. Arkansas has the strongest open meetings law. We need to keep it that way. We shouldn't apologize that all we're doing, you can talk as much as you want in an open public meeting, period.
Yes.
Another bill, Iris, that Senator Clark ran this time. It required that under certain circumstances, there's a written response. For example, you send a record request to your local superintendent of the schools, and they don't have any responsive records. All they have to do is email back and say, we don't have any responsive records. That way, the citizen isn't left guessing. The citizen doesn't have to go down to my office and we file a lawsuit, and then they tell us after we waste taxpayer dollars and they have to, we have to go through that process. I mean, how simple is that? Number 2, if they're claiming an exemption to FOIA, that they're exempt from this record disclosure for this reason or that reason. Maybe there's an ongoing investigation and they wouldn't be entitled. All they have to do is say, these records are exempt, and here's the reason why.
Yes.
And thirdly, if there's if it's sent to the wrong custodian, you send it to the deputy superintendent and he's not the custodian, all he has to do is say, hey, this person, identify the proper custodian. I mean, this is a good government bill. And
Yeah.
we got into the Senate State Agencies Committee, and we couldn't even get it out of Senate State Agencies. You know why? Because the Arkansas Municipal League comes and testifies about an unrelated matter, in my opinion, was in complete bad faith. And Senator Bart Hester you know, he started bashing FOIA, said, oh, I'm for transparency, but I've got my constituents up. I've got these folks in Bentonville who are getting all these records requests. So you know where this is going now? If we allow them to decimate open meetings, next time around, it'll be open records. And
Yes,
we will have the weakest FOIA in the country. And
yes.
we need the strongest FOIA. It's just,
Well, there's no excuse
good
for
government.
this. There is no excuse for this. That's my point, is a law that has worked this well, that is basically easy. I don't care what they say. It's easy on councils, boards, quorum courts and everything. It's, you know, it's not a problem. And to try to gut it like this is just inexcusable, and it's going to create massive problems. I don't think most people even understand how the government will close up to them once you have things, you know, you got your FOIA laws. There won't be any ability to go in and say, what happened here? What did you say? What is it? That is just not acceptable in a transparent society. And we are paying for this. This is taxpayers that are, you know, and some of these don't, you know, some of these boards and councils and stuff, they don't make a salary. But this is government that is supported by us, the taxpayer. And that's why it needs to be transparent to us, the taxpayers.
Yeah, and if you know, if a particular JP or school board member, if they don't want their discussion scrutinized, then I got two words: private business.
Yeah.
This is our money. This is our
Yes.
taxpayer dollars, and we have the right to know. And that's the key word here: right to know. We Arkansans have the right to know what's being discussed on these bills. We have the right to know, as a legislative intent says, what our public and what activities they're performing, and we judge those performances. And if we want to create any more distrust in government than we already
Yes.
have, God forbid,
Yeah.
then do your business, do your tough conversations in secret, come to the board meeting and just have a conclusion, and don't
Right.
discuss the hard subjects before
Right.
the people, and we'll create more distrust of government, and things will get much worse than they already are.
Well, that's actually that's exactly what I'm afraid of. And this crosses all political lines. We think, well, is this conservative and liberal, whatever? This crosses all political lines, because everybody from the most liberal person to the most conservative person is supporting that government, is supporting these groups, and should be able to reference what's going on in those committees and councils and boards and such. So everybody needs to be upset about this, not just say those of us who are conservative, because we're on conservative corner.
And that's what I always say. FOIA is not liberal or conservative, Republican or Democrat, white or black. It is a freedom issue.
Freedom.
And where my thoughts about, after talking to somebody in the know in Conway, where Miss Bentley's from, and she denies this, but where I think this came from is they were trying to pass a bathroom bill locally in Conway. And some of the transgender folks got upset about it, obviously. And they wanted free access to records, like they should have, and they wanted free access to meetings, which they should have. And Miss Bentley did not like that. Now, she says it's about government efficiency, but my understanding from talks with the school board is that's where this came from. But again, we need to remember, Republicans, right, like myself, conservatives like myself, will not be in power forever. And when the Democrats or liberals get in power, then we're going to be shut out from getting our documents, from hearing
exactly
tough discussions. So I'm not advancing conservative or liberal here. I'm just stating a fact that
exactly. And
this is about everybody and everybody.
Exactly.
And
regardless of whether we agree with what their positions are, this should be available for everybody. And we're going to kind of have to shut this down. Ardell needs to be able to talk about this other bad bill that we've got that are talking about. And I'm very concerned about that, but I so much appreciate you coming on. And we're going to possibly be able to email and put this on. We'll have it on our Tea Party page when it's available and everything. So we're going to try to get this word out so people will contact Ms. Bentley and, all of their legislators and all of the ones that are working with her on this.
I'm expecting a hearing as early as next Tuesday. And I sure hope that some folks from Jonesboro will show up. I will tell you when the hearing is, and maybe you can get that word out. We've
Oh, we
got to have
will.
people there, and we have had people there.
Yeah.
And I won't take any more of Hardell's time.
Okay. Well, thank you again, Joey.
Thank you. Look forward to hearing this discussion.
Okay. Ardell, what's going on with this silly digital currency stuff?
Well, I think as important as what you two just discussed, it'll all be kicked to the curb if, in fact, HB 1588 to amend the Uniform Commercial Code gets passed in Arkansas and opens the on-ramp for a central bank digital currency. The bill itself is 104 pages. The part that I pulled out doesn't show up to page 103. Luganzi, can you throw up the screenshot that I sent you? See there? If not, I'll continue to talk. Right now, the bill is, so here's a screenshot. What I did initially is I scanned the bill myself, and then I did a word search, and I started with digital. No, go out, Luganzi. There you go. I started with digital. Digital only returned 3 times out of this 104 pages, whereas virtual returned 43 times. Every one of those 43 times that virtual appears are being struck by this update. So if you read line 34, it determines the proper priority rules of Chapter 9 as amended by this act do not apply, subject to subsection C when the priority rules of Chapter 9 as amended by this act do not apply, and the priorities of claims to Chapter 12 property were established before July 1st, 2024, the effective date of this act, law priority. So
But
on
what will
July
this
1st,
actually, Ardell,
on
what will this
July
actually
1st,
do?
on July 1st, only a central bank digital coin will be authorized in Arkansas. That means that cryptocurrency, such as Bitcoin and other decentralized modes of doing commerce, essentially money, will no longer be allowed to be used for money. After July 1st, it'll only be a central bank. So this bill is currently going to the Insurance and Commerce. Let me see if I can get this down. The Insurance and Commerce Committee. That committee is chaired by the most senior representative in the House, and Senator Distang is the senator.
So you're
right
gonna have that
now,
information available to us?
huh?
You're gonna have that information available to us?
I've got all the information, but given the time crunch, I just wanted to show
Yeah.
this screenshot that shows exactly how deep into this particular bill the actionable parts go. And obviously, given the references, there are other parts that are affected here. But the bottom line is that if you have cryptocurrency now, a Bitcoin wallet or another type of cryptocurrency wallet, and you want to transact that and pull that cryptocurrency and convert it to dollars or do whatever you want to do with it, that's yours to do. When it gets to a central bank digital currency, it'll be the bank that will have the authority over that amount of digital coinage.
It will control your money.
Essentially, it becomes the controlling mechanism for everything that the federal government wants us to comply with.
Extremely dangerous, and they could shut it down too, couldn't they?
Right. And that, as you
wouldn't have
said,
any.
Governor Nomes out of South Dakota has already vetoed the bill. Whether or not her veto will be overridden is to be determined. There are about 20 states that have some version of this type of bill moving through their legislatures now. And here in Arkansas, as I said, it's going to committee, and everyone locally can contact Senator Sullivan, Representative Ladyman, Representative Milligan, Representative Tosh. I think Representative Tosh may be the chair of the committee that's going to hear this. I didn't have the information up beforehand, but I think it is his committee. Oh, by the way, that committee had previously been chaired by then Representative Mark Lowry, who is now the state treasurer. And he's done some good work with the ESG laws that we're concerned about. So we'll be able to hopefully contact him too. But again, the bottom line here is that this UCC amendment will essentially turn over whatever private control we have over our monetary system to not even the federal government, because the federal government, it's a private bank outside the confines of the federal government. It's the U.S. Treasury doesn't control it. It may be the other way around. So right now, July 1st, 2024 is the mark on the wall. There's a lot of information that's being pushed out on this. If you Google something like stop CBDC or stop central bank digital currency, or what is central bank digital currency, you can find the information that'll lead you to this conclusion, which one governor has already concluded. Governor DeSantis has publicly stated that he's going to fight this in Florida. Texas has some emphasis on it, and I've seen as many as 20 states it's working through the legislatures, and as many as 12 states.
Well, this sounds to me like something that this works along with the Chinese Communist way of doing, what is it, social credit scores.
Right.
If somebody else controls your money, you know, if you don't adhere to what they want you to do, they can cut you off. And I think this is another issue that crosses political lines, that you know, we need to be very careful about. Careful, that's not even a strong enough word.
No, it's one of, like ESG law, it is coming at us at a very high rate of emphasis and speed. And our line of defense is our legislators here in Arkansas. And as you and Joey discussed earlier, you know, the FOIA issue can be an important one, but it can all go by the wayside, maybe not immediately, but over time, if the central bank digital coin is ultimately approved as the sole digital currency for use in commerce. I don't have anything else for discussion at this point. It is HB 1588.
Well, we'll get that information out too to everyone.
Okay, thank you.
And mark of the beast type stuff.
Yes, ma'am.
That allows it to happen. So that's what's going on in the legislature now. Right now, some of the things that right now they're on spring break, but as soon as next week happens, this stuff will start hitting the fan again. So, you know, we'll try to put on the Tea Party page all the contact information, but people really need to be getting busy.
Okay, agree.
All right, and that's going to do it for this edition of Conservative Corner. Usually I have to kind of tell them to kind of wind it down. They actually gave me a hard stop, so I'll just go ahead and jump in. I want to say thank you to our guests, Ms. Ira Stevens, Mr. Hard Weinstock, Attorney Joy McCutcheon. Thank you so much for joining us. And of course, Kayla Ken, the voice for Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council, will not endorse, support, or oppose any candidate, political party, or take a particular position on an issue, but we will never stop telling you to get engaged in the process. And this is definitely great information. Use those FOIA laws. Stay informed with what's going on in your government. Talk to your government officials, get registered to vote, and just stay engaged. All right, that's going to do it. You guys have a great and blessed day. This is KLEK on 2.5